Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Saturday night live stream. Tonight, we're going to be talking all about scamming and spam and the darker side of the financial world. And there's some feedback. And the funny thing is, give me 1 second. This is me. I actually, just before we went live, I mentioned to Nate that you got to mute it right away, and I went and left mine open. So anyway, once again, welcome to the stream. So we got Nate Polmateer here with us. For those of you who are not familiar with Nate, Nate, tell us about you. Tell us all about you.
All right, I'll give you guys a great introduction. I'm Nate. No, I'm just kidding. I'm Nate. I have my own channel that I've been running. I work full time. I have 10 kids, and I'm the financial guru of our household. I love budgeting. I love finding ways to save money. I love crypto. I'm really enthusiastic about a lot of things, and because of my ADHD, I just kind of hyper focus on things, and so that can get me into trouble at some points. But yeah, so that's kind of me. I don't know what else you guys want to know about me. I live in Canada and southwestern Ontario, to be more specific, close to Lake Huron. So we're close to the beach, and summers are nice. Winters are terrible because of all the snow we get here. We're kind of in this weird snow belt. And we also get like tornadoes, like a tornado touchdown in a town just south of us, like a month ago, and just ripped the town apart and took about a bunch of huge trees out. So yeah, that's me.
Wow, that's not too fun. And Nate also has a YouTube channel as well. What do you do on your channel, Nate?
All right, so my channel is just kind of about, oh my goodness, my kids are like screaming. My channel is about just living your best financial life. It's a bit about crypto. It's about budgeting. It's about just some strategies on how you can be financially fit, how you can make good financial decisions. And none of it's financial advice. It's completely entertainment. But yeah, so that's really what the channel is about. And it's really difficult when you run your own YouTube channel where to go or what to do, and not to get too much into something and then you end up just becoming like that type of channel. You're like, oh, okay, well, now I'm all about crypto, so now I'm a crypto channel, even though I was a financial channel. So I try to mix it up a little bit here and there. But yeah, that's really what my channel's all about.
That makes sense. I know myself, I try to cover crypto, stocks, a little bit about saving. I sort of look at it as more of a overall financial education channel. So I think you can definitely, they marry well together. So I think you're doing good. I've watched a few of your videos, and he's got a great channel. Guys, I've actually put a link down below to Nate's channel. So guys, after the stream, not during the stream, but after the stream, go down there, grab it, check it out. Go watch some of his videos. They're pretty cool. All right, so we got a Panda in the house, and we got Dave D, and we got Chris, and we've got fan favorite Caesar.
Oh, I've seen Caesar. Caesar lives close to us, actually, or close to me. I think he's out of London.
Ah. And I think Panda says your channel is very good. So he's already been there. And I think a few of the regulars will definitely have already been exposed to your channel. I think you've been on Crypto Night in Canada once, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And you've been on Have you been on
Rye's
when
channel once? Rye's invited me a bunch of times, but a lot of times on the Wednesday night, I have to work on Wednesday night. So that's kind of the tough point. Or the time frame is like I'm putting my kids to bed, and yeah, I have a lot of kids, so it takes a long time.
Well, you have 10 kids. That's amazing. That's a big family. Oh, you must get a lot of gifts on Father's Day.
Right? Yeah, I do get a lot of cool like drawings and stuff from my kids, and yeah, Father's Day is a great time. And just even coming home from work, they run up the driveway. We have like our driveway is about 300 feet long, and I just see them running from the house up to the car, and then they all jump in my car
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the driveway.
300
Yeah, it's a
feet.
lot of
I
fun.
hope you've got a plow though, don't you? For the
I
winter?
actually don't yet. I've been looking for
Really?
like a used one that's like on Marketplace or something like that, because
Mm-hmm.
I do have a big truck, like an F-250. So I've been looking for one, but just haven't found one like in the right price range, because I don't want to spend a ton of money, because I'm just gonna be plowing my own driveway. Some of those can go for
Ah,
like $3,000, $2,500. So
perfect. And
hey
we also got cold
Corey,
weather. Speaking of Marketplace, have you heard about that? There's a scam going on Marketplace. I don't know if you've heard about that one or not. So how the scam,
which one?
well, exactly. The one I'm thinking of is basically somebody will list something for sale or they'll contact you. It goes both directions. And when you contact them, they'll ask for your phone number. And then they'll say, okay, I'm going to text you a 4-digit number because I've been scammed before and I just want to make sure that you're legit. But what they're doing behind the scenes is they're using a service called it's a Google phone service. When you sign up with the phone number on Google phone service, Google texts you a 4-digit code to basically to verify that you have that phone. And once they get that number, so they put your number in, they hit submit. Google actually texts you the number. You then give it to them. They've now got your number, they put it in, and they've
Oh,
now taken control of your phone. And they usually turn it into robocalling phones when they get their hands on them. So that was one I just heard
wow.
about that today, and I was like, holy banana bread! I have not heard of anything like that before. That's crazy. But it's one of the
I have a
things they're doing.
really good one for you.
Oh, let's hear it.
I have a really good one that I just heard. So this is how the scam went. So they look at a house that's on MLS. So that's like a real estate website. They call the realtor, but now because of COVID, they'll give you the code to go look at the house with the realtor. So you get the door code. So once they got that code, now they post that house for rent on Facebook Marketplace. Then they get people, oh, I can't meet up with you. Here's the code. Go check it out. So the people go check it out. All right, we're just going to need first and last now. And so they get first and last month's rent and they're gone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
It's like
this is one of
like
those
some of these
things.
things are just absolutely like your spidey senses need to be going off. Like something's really weird here, right?
Oh, well, exactly. Hi, Riley. It's crazy. The amount of real estate scams is just out to lunch. A lot of people have
Mm,
lost their first and last month's rent just because if you ever look at a listing, especially in the bigger cities, you might find 5 listings for the exact same place and only one of them's legit. The other 4 are just scammers. Most of the time they're even overseas. And
wow.
they're trying to get that deposit from you. And so it's kind of at that point now that you've got to be doing your own research on pretty much everything you touch. So if you're looking for a place, and I would actually contact whoever the owner is of the building. So whatever management company, contact them, make sure that it's legit, or go to their website and apply through their website, even though there might be an ad on Facebook or on Kijiji or something, because you just don't want to get scammed, especially if you've been saving
Yeah,
up
absolutely.
for that, your first and last months, and all of a sudden it's scammed from you. Well, then you're kind of, you could be in a bad situation, which kind of sucks. Now, I think you said you had a video, didn't you? Or a presentation?
Yeah, I have some slides. I do have some slides that I can show you guys just to um, show you. Sorry, I'll look it up here. So some
We got your back,
slides,
Corey.
window. Where is it? Sorry, I gotta find it. I think I moved it off screen. There we go. All right. Yeah, so I have some slides of different scams, and these are all fairly recent. I do have, I think one is a bit older from like 2017, 2016, but just some scams from not only crypto scams, but also different scams from other areas. So these scams include phishing. If you guys don't know what phishing is, it's really when someone, they don't know anything about you. All they know is maybe your email address or your phone number, and they throw out a hook. They're throwing something out at you that looks legitimate, and they're just trying to get you to bite. That's all that phishing really is. They don't know anything about you. Once they get you to bite, they'll bring you to a legitimate website or something like that, get you to put in all your credentials, and then boom, they got you. And it could be anything from, hey, your account's going to be locked. You need to do this right now, or else you're not going to have any access to your account. So you're like, oh no, and you click on the link or whatever. Go ahead, Candace.
I was just going to say, sometimes as well, they're coming at you in a wave of phishing. They may not even be, they may, in their first attempt to phish you, they may be looking for 2-3 pieces of information. And then at that point, that's being passed amongst a lot of their network. And somebody else is then going to come in through a different avenue and try to get you again for a few more pieces of information. Then once they've put that all together, next thing you know, you've got a stolen identity, or somebody has access to your bank, or or worse. So it's they're getting very sophisticated.
That's a really good point, Candace. And a lot of these like Facebook games and stuff that are like, oh, tell us your aunt's name, tell us your uncle's name, tell us your favorite spot. Those are actually for phishers. It's to get personal information out of you, because you're going to put in stuff like in your passwords and all those things. Most people will just use personal information. As much as they want to mix it up, they'll use personal information. And that's a big reason why you have that pneumatic phrase that gives you a bunch of random names. Because if you tried to produce 24 phrase words, you would use a whole bunch of personal phrase words that you're used to. And
absolutely,
that's how you get hacked.
Absolutely. Interesting thing about that too is if you look at a lot of those Facebook quizzes, a lot of times they'll ask questions that, if you think about it, those questions sound a lot like the verification questions you get at your bank and things like that. Like, you might get a question like, hey, who was your favorite superhero? What was your first cat's name? Those are the questions that they ask. And these are the questions that you find in these quizzes. So
absolutely,
as much as you want to find out all of your friends' favorite cats' names, it's probably just not worth doing it.
Or the, hey, share this and you'll get free pizza, or hey, share this and we'll give you a free Tim's card. Just put in your email address and your phone number, and we'll pull up, we'll give you a free gift card or something like that, right?
Well, exactly. And that's kind of the sad part of it, is that they're the games that they play, and people do it. I mean, I look at my mom. My mom propagates half the spam on the internet. It comes into her box and she's going to click on everything. And that's usually anytime I go to visit her, it's like, oh, I need to clean up my computer. I've got so much malware on it. And I'm like, yeah, we're just going to need to wipe it, because it just gets that bad. And my mom gets annoyed at me too. She'll say, oh, did you? I'll finish here 1 second. I said, I get this annoying thing. Or I said, what was I saying? So yeah, my mom got mad at me because she'd send me something that has a link on it or something because it's funny. She'd be like, oh my God, did you look at it? Did you look at it? I sent it to you in the email. I said, yeah, I've deleted that email. She's like, why do you always delete my emails? I'm like, because you put attachments on them. But all right, Nate, you got this thing.
Yeah. No, you're bang on. And you know what? I have my wife's uncle does that all the time, shares these attachments, and it's just like, yeah, you know what? I'm not going to do that. Yeah, you shouldn't do that. So I do have a thing here. So here's just a few things. I'll cycle through them. But these are some things. This one's November 7th, 2021. Different articles I just pulled up, and you guys can easily pull these up. Phishing attack, SIM swapping. So if you want to do your own due diligence, you can do that yourself and see, how do I stop a phishing attack and that kind of stuff. So here's a pretty big one. A hacker stole more than 55 million in crypto after a BZX developer fell for a phishing attack. You know what? Sometimes these guys that are working for whether they're working for a crypto wallet or they're working for Coinbase, they're going to get emails, like inundated with emails that say something like, I don't know, it might be like a superior saying, hey, I need to use TeamViewer to check out some things on your account. Can you please grant me access? And the wrong person might be just like, oh yeah, like they're really good friends with Jim or whoever it is. And then they allow them access. And then all of a sudden they get into the back door of like a big corporation, and it happens quite a bit. Here's one. I don't know. Have you guys heard of SIM swapping or SIM jacking? Have you heard of that? I can explain it pretty quickly. So a SIM jack is, so in our phones, you have a SIM card. Most phones, some of them have the eSIM, but if you have a physical SIM card in your phone, if someone calls up your phone company and says, hey, I lost my SIM card. Oh, okay, what's your name? Oh, my name's Nate Polmateer. Oh, I live at this address. Okay, well, what's your first cat's name? Or whatever, right? And you answer the security questions. And they're like, okay, well, and then you tell them, oh, I have a SIM card with me. Can you just activate it and then just cancel my old one? And the phone company will do that. And this is what AT&T did to this guy. And now they have your SIM card. So why is that important? Well, anytime you use SMS, like a second factor authentication, this is how they use that. So they'll go to your email. And then if you use SMS authentication with your email, they'll say, oh, I forgot my password. Get a text. They're getting into your email. They're getting into your Coinbase account, whatever it is. And that's how SIM jacking happens, like in like the surface level of what SIM jacking is. But yeah, this guy lost $1.8 million in cryptocurrency because of a SIM jack, because someone got into his Coinbase account, was able to get in the back door. With this particular case, this was in 2019, just his service stopped working. And he was like, oh, that's weird. Oh, I must just be out of minutes or whatever on my phone. And then he couldn't access anything. And it took him a few hours to figure it out. Then he finally figured it out. But yeah. So this one was recent. Coinbase user loses 206 Bitcoin worth almost $12 million after being tricked by a fake notification. Okay, so what is this? This guy makes a trade, buys 206 Bitcoin, which is like a very large amount. Most of us may not even have one Bitcoin. He gets a text to his phone. Your account has been frozen. In order to access your account, you need to click on this link, re-authenticate, and then we'll open your account. You know what he did? He clicked on the link, he re-authenticated, but actually what he did, he gave all of his information to the hackers and they drained his account. That's crazy. And right now his account, the money's sitting in Huobi. I can never pronounce it properly. HUOBUI, I think it is. The Korean exchange.
Mm-hmm.
So this is an old one as well. McEwen University defrauded of $11.8 million from online phishing scam. This is just an email coming through, someone clicking on a link, and they were able to gain access to McEwen's University bank account and move all the funds, which is crazy. This is recent, 2 weeks ago. Phishing for crypto, $500,000 stolen via Google Ads exploit. Anyone else, maybe even you, did you get a text recently saying you have to re-authenticate your MetaMask? So I got a
one the other
text.
day from BlockFi.
Yeah, so I got the BlockFi one as well that said that you need to go in and re-authenticate. And so that was kind of scammy. And then I also got I don't know if I have it on my phone anymore, but I got a text from MetaMask. And it said, Nathan, your account with MetaMask needs to be recertified. And it had to do with Google, actually. And so there's a bunch of people that, well, they got their accounts hacked on that.
Oh, wow.
And then this was just a lady that was just talking about SIM swapping. And she was a security conscious IT professional working in blockchain. And yeah, so her account got her phone got SIM swapped. One of the telltale signs for a SIM swap is your network stops working. So the top of your phone will say Bell Canada, T-Mobile, whoever, and that just won't work anymore. And it'll just say no service. And if that happens, you need to like immediately get on someone else's phone and contact your provider and make sure that your phone gets locked out. Go to your email, make sure your email passwords get changed. You need to be on high alert for that. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a little bit too I don't know.
Well,
Cautious?
I don't. I would rather be too cautious than not cautious enough. We got Dave D down here saying Canada Border Services is going to put you in jail if you don't call back right now. Apparently, that's a new scam. I used to get that a lot. There'd be somebody with, usually somebody with broken English. So I'm thinking it's somewhere overseas they're calling and they'll be like, oh, the CRA has a big problem with your taxes. If you don't pay a certain amount immediately, you're going to jail. And he's just like, oh, okay, sure. And they do that and they get very bold. And the interesting thing on a psychology level is when you get a call like that, it makes that whole fear part of you. So the whole fight or flight response, it instigates that. And so a lot of times when that happens, you're just thinking self-preservation. So you're like, oh my God, I can't go to jail. I can't mess up what's going on. So a lot of people especially older people get sucked in by this. Now there is one thing interesting. This woman in the States, she was a sheriff sitting in her police headquarters, and she made a video of one of these calls because they called her on the job, threatened to send local law enforcement to arrest her, and she had so much fun with it. It is on YouTube. If you just do a search on sheriff and scam call, you'll find it. It's worth watching. It was quite funny. So they're out there and they're very, very, they're crafty. They keep getting craftier and craftier. All right, so we got Bleak. Hey, you. Let's get caught up here a little bit on these. Got to run, guys. Starting a movie with my lovely wife. I'll watch back later. Thanks, guys. He should have told us what movie they were going to watch. I'm holding so many bags of something.
Right now.
I'm not sure what bags they are, but there's a lot of bags there. Only attachment I look at is when I get my pay stub emailed to me. Let's see, Jess. That's only good for getting SIMs authority from exchanges. 2FA is becoming huge now. Absolutely. If you are given an option for 2FA and you turn it down because of that extra step and it's annoying, don't do that. Turn it on. If you've got that option, put the extra step in there. It makes it much harder for scammers to pull you away and to actually get away with something.
2FA is a really good, a really good conversation in that the different types of 2FA that we can use. So there's like 2FA SMS. I would say that is the least secure. It's okay, but again, if you get swapped, you're in trouble. A good app that I use for 2FA is Authy. And Authy has a database where you can use it on different phones. where there's like Google 2FA, but it's only local to your phone. So if you lose that phone, you actually lose all your 2FA. And another really good one is called YubiKey. And I use YubiKey for all my really high level accounts. And it's an actual physical key that holds it's like a 24 digit or 32 digit code. And you have to put that in to get into those accounts. But not everyone supports that, which is a little bit annoying. You try to be high security and only like 4 accounts support it. But like if you have a Coinbase account, Coinbase supports YubiKey. And there's some other places that support that. But yeah, 2FA is a big factor.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We got MC in the house.
Hey, MC.
And other than a cold wallet, how can I protect my MetaMask?
Passwords. You got to have I use LastPass as well. So that you can generate passwords up to 114 digits long with LastPass. It's an encrypted application, but you still have weak spots there. If your master password isn't good, then they can hack into that. Then they know all your passwords. So
yeah, well, exactly.
Cold wallet's the way to go. If you're, I don't know, I think that's the way to go, because that literally any of these Coinbase things would never have happened. Would not have happened if they got into their account and their account was completely empty, right? 206 Bitcoin sitting on an exchange. Oh my word.
Well, yeah, no, it adds up. And here's another big mistake people make is some people will come up with a really good password, but then they use it on everything. The exact same password. And then all it takes is for a breach in one company that you have that password with and somebody gets their hands on your password, they are going to try that password on on anything of yours that they can. And if you're using the same password on everything, all it takes is one breach and you could potentially see everything start crumbling down around you, because you got to use different passwords. As much as people don't want to remember different passwords, that's where, if you get yourself a password manager, that will help. If you use an Apple computer, it does that all on its own. It generates these insanely complicated passwords and it remembers it, and it'll remember it between your Apple devices, which is nice. But there are options out there if you don't want to have to actually remember all of them. Here's another thing about passwords too, as don't use a simple password. So for example, if you're trying to come up with a password for something and your dog's name is Rover, and you call it your password Rover, and then you maybe capitalize the R because you have to have a capital, and then you put maybe an exclamation mark at the end, and then maybe a number, it's still way too easy. So use something like a password phrase. So let's say, for example, if you really, really like Rover, you could do something like, I love Rover. And then instead of even doing I love Rover, you could take like the first letter of each initial. So you could have ILR, then a series of numbers that maybe mean something to you if they have to. But that will make it much, much harder for somebody to just come in and guess your password. Yeah, I mean, my mom, she'd had this habit of forgetting her passwords, and usually it would take me 5 attempts at guessing at words to figure out what her password is almost every time. Maybe something crazy like she always wanted to go to Wonderland, so her password for the longest time was Wonderland. So you gotta be careful. People are just, they're just, here's the thing, until it actually happens to you, until you get scammed, you kind of live in that whole, well, it'll never happen to me. There's people far more stupider than I am. But right. It will happen to you eventually. Everybody gets scammed at one time or another. Now, have you ever been scammed, Nate?
So I had a brief scare where, on all of my bank accounts, I have and credit cards and any financial accounts, I have notifications set up. So anytime something actually just triggers, so if there's a transaction or anything like that, I'll get an email right away and a text message. And for the ones that support that. And I got a message from one of my banks saying, you have just withdrawn like a large sum of money. And I was like, wait a minute. No, I didn't. And so I tried to get into my account and I couldn't get into my account. So I'm on the phone with PayPal. I'm on the phone with my bank and I can't get into my account. And like, I'm freaking out. And then eventually I got in. nice Oracle. Someone has your info, Nate. Yeah. And what happened was it was a PayPal issue. PayPal had deposited double the amount into my account, what they were supposed to, and they immediately withdrew half of the amount. So that was my most brief scare with that happening.
Mm-hmm. I've been scammed once, and it was back in the early days of World of Warcraft, back when it used to be hard to get gold. I had a job. I was just too busy, and I just wanted a friggin' mount, so I paid a Chinese gold farmer for some gold. A week later, I came home from work, went to log in, and all my characters, every single piece of armor was gone, every piece of gold was gone. They stripped everything, and then just left them all there penniless. And I mean, that to me is not a bad scam. It never hit me personally, like in my actual real financial, but it was one of those things that's just like, it happens. And I think that's why, at least if you look at World of Warcraft, I think they made a whole bunch of changes to prevent that type of thing from happening. And a lot of gaming has done that. And especially now when we start thinking about all of the gaming services that are now going into the metaverse, they're going to have to really put a good focus on security and making sure people don't get scammed, because they're easy picking, because a lot of times people just want they want that pay to win experience, and sometimes that can come with some scammers attached.
Yeah, I used to play a mobile game called Game of War, and it's kind of like Clash of Clans. And so I was on this group online app, and in that group, a bunch of my buddies were like, hey, like guys in China can buy gear and buy like gold for a lot less than what we can. Now, the only thing is you have to give up your username and password so they can go into your account, purchase it, and then I was like, that's interesting. This was, I don't know, I was like 22. So I did. I gave up my name and my password. I didn't get hacked. The guy loaded up my account. But after that, it actually kind of freaked me out. I was like, that was a terrible idea. I changed my password and I just like, was like, I shouldn't do that.
Oh, absolutely. And then we got two-parter here from Ken. So that's why my phone is through a provider without a call center and attached with an email ID that I only use from my phone. So the ID has never been public. You can use an old cell phone as a cold wallet for MetaMask, as long as you only use that phone just for MetaMask, which is perfect. And that kind of brings up an extra thing. I'm just going to pull up the next one very quickly so we can see Rise in the house.
Hey, Ryan?
It doesn't hurt to have multiple email addresses. So when you're signing up for things like newsletters or mostly newsletters or just things where they're just going to send some communication with you, have an email address just for that. Keep it all separate, because if you happen to run into a scammer who's using some kind of an email list scam, then they're only going to get access to basically information about the lists that you're on. They're not really going to get access to your life. Whereas if you're using your regular everyday email for all of that and somebody does manage to scam their way in, then they have boatloads of information on you. to do anything from, once again, stealing your identity. So you really want to sort of isolate things, build walls in your life between stuff like that. It's just like with YouTube, and I'm completely guilty of this right now, but I've been using my personal email address initially. So I've got to set up another email address and move things over. I think Rye did the same thing when he had started. So, just to keep things separated, because you don't want somebody to get into one and have access to everything. So limiting damage is always a really good thing. And as Panda says, it can happen to everyone. It absolutely can. And it's happened to Patricia years ago. So she clicked on a link thinking it was PayPal. Later, someone tried to buy something with her account. Luckily, she was able to contest the purchase, which is good. A lot of the big retailers are really good that way. Like Amazon, if you were to say, look, somebody scammed my account, they made these purchases, I didn't receive them, you'll get your money back. Even your banks tend to be, I normally don't have nice things to say about the retail banks, but they do tend to protect you when it comes to things like that. If someone scams their way into their systems, I do find that, they're pretty good to work with when it comes to something like that. But don't let it ever get to that point. That's kind of the whole point of what we're trying to sort of get across here. Here's another scam that's really, really interesting. Since we talked about banks, a lot of places are starting to use voice authentication when you call in to authenticate you. So there's this new scam going around where you receive a phone call. Usually on the beginning of the call, somebody will speak in some kind of a crazy language, but it's just very brief, and then it stops. There's no sound. What they're trying to get you to do is to start talking. Like, for example, you're going like, hello, is anybody there? Hello, I think you've got the wrong number. Hello. And they've got a computer recording your voice. They're trying to get enough of it so that they can then trick voice authenticators to get into your accounts. So it's a very sophisticated form of spamming. So here's the thing, and this is what I've started doing myself, is if anybody calls me, if I don't know the number, I'm not answering. They have to go through my voicemail. That's just the way it is for people, because I'll swear 9 out of every 10 calls is a telemarketer or a scammer or a robo thing of some sort trying to, do whatever. There was this other one too, that was, since we were talking about phones, where it would call you up and then it would pretend it couldn't hear you. So it would basically say, can you hear me? Can you hear me? And you'd say, yes. They would record your yes. And then they would sell you a service. And when you went to dispute the service, they would say, oh no, you said yes. And they would play the yes back. So kind of crafty. Yeah, I know. Kind of crafty. But that type of thing happens. It's just one of those things. It's just, it's insane. It's nuts.
It is insane.
Go to any length.
It's absolutely insane.
Oh, look at this, Nate. You got yourself a fan. So Rye is saying Nate is a rock star guest.
He's my Litecoin buddy. My Litecoin bro.
Oh yeah, and we got Rye's mom in the house.
Hey Christina.
Yeah, and Dave has an old phone. And Panda has a trap phone. I'm not entirely sure what a trap phone is, but it sounds cool. I may never borrow Panda's phone from him because it could be a trap.
Right?
Okay. Dave D. Wow. And then we have back to Patricia. Oh yeah, I've been getting called from the US and the UK. I just didn't answer because I didn't know the numbers. I blocked them after. And that's a good thing. I do. The only problem I have is that they can still get to your voicemail even if you block them. Because all blocking does here is it just sends them straight to your voicemail, which is annoying. I think we should be able to block people from our voicemail too. Because, I'll go into my voicemail. Right. And for the longest time, when I moved to Nova Scotia, I had changed my number to the Nova Scotia number. And whoever had had my phone before me. Their last name was Why Not. And I know this because I was getting collection agencies calling me left, right, and center looking for them. And it didn't seem to matter what I did. I couldn't get them to stop. Eventually they stopped. But for the longest time, I had 3 to 4 voicemails every day that I had to delete of some credit agency or another looking for this person. So sometimes that can happen. I think this probably the number probably used to be theirs. Or when they were filling out something, they just put the wrong phone number down.
Yeah.
So a couple of things.
One thing sorry. Hey, Christine. One thing I just picked up, and this, maybe if you have a few bucks laying around, like I think like $3 a month, I started using the app called Call Hero. Now, Call Hero is an app that every time someone calls you, it screens your call, especially if they're a number that's not known. And it's also a voicemail service. So it's actually like an AI person. And they're like, hi, I'm Alice, Nathan's AI secretary. How can I help you today? And so when you call me, you're like, hey, it's Candace. I just want to talk about the live stream. I'll get a text saying, hey, it's Candace. I just want to talk about the live stream, like immediately. And then I can choose to pick that call up or not. And then it also
really
tells you, it tells you how much time you've saved as well for that day. So today I've saved 27 minutes so far. I have days where I'm saving 120 minutes in a day because of all the spam calls I get. Like, it's just outrageous. I also do have like some older friends that are like in their 60s and 70s that are acquaintances that are like, hey, Nathan, Alice is so nice to meet her. I was like, no, that's just, I don't mind. Yeah, she is really nice.
Well, maybe they'll send her Christmas cards.
Right?
So
just send them to my address with cash.
So this is called Call Hero.
Yeah, Call Hero.
Okay, now is that a free app or is there a monthly charge on it? How does that work?
Okay, so it's initially free when you want to, I think you like try it out. But if you want to use it more, I think the voicemail service, to get access to the voicemail service, you have to pay for it. Yeah, trying to see. You can customize your agent. There's call screening. You can also have them forward all your calls as well. So yeah, I think it's like $39 a year.
Oh, that's not bad at all. That's pretty reasonable.
Yeah,
I might just look into that because that would be a lot easier. Because go ahead.
I was blocking them just like you, like every number, block, and it was just, I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like I was getting to the point where I was like, maybe I should just change my number. But then just speaking to friends who have done that, who have like, fine, I'm changing my number. And then they have to tell everyone, oh, this is my new number. And they still get inundated with calls because these robocallers don't care about your number. Yeah. They're just going to continue to call whatever number is from that area code or whatever, right?
Yeah, no, the only thing that can hurt you when it comes to this is if you answer one of these robocallers and then talk. So it's kind of an interesting thing. If they know your number is live, it then becomes worth more money. And they will then sell it to some of the lists where they pull the numbers from. Same thing with your email address. So here's a good tip with email. Anytime you start getting some email that you don't want and it's got an unsubscribe button, don't hit that unsubscribe button because that lets them know you're real. The only exception is if it's like a legitimate, let's say you signed up for an email list and then you were like, okay, well, I don't want that email list, but you know it's legit. Then you could use your unsubscribe button. But if when you start all of a sudden starting to get an email from some strange company every single day with an unsubscribe on it, don't hit it. If anything, I think most email can do this. You can set up a rule just to send it straight into your trash or into your spam or something. So you can teach your email what you consider to be spam. And that's a good way to sort of help keep your box clear. Because I get a lot. And my spam folder, I guesstimate I probably get 250 to 500 pieces of spam every day that
Wow.
goes straight to my spam folder. But now, mind you, part of that's because I have a really big social media footprint.
Right.
Years ago, I wrote a book, and that's one of the reasons.
Cool.
Like, if you ever look at my Twitter, I've got like 23,000 followers. That's sort of left over from those days.
Okay.
So as a
Very
result,
cool.
I get just a crazy inundated amount of email. Most of it's just absolute garbage, which kind of sucks.
That is crazy. One of the things too is they can trick you. They'll throw in like this, hey, thanks for subscribing to our recent Yelp email. If you didn't like this, just hit unsubscribe. So that link may bring you somewhere you don't want to go. And then you click on it and it's like, oh, just confirm who you are. Oh yeah. Oh, it's Nate. It's me. Okay, there we go. Unsubscribe. And now they have some of your information. When I started in crypto in 2016, I bought a ledger, and I used my personal email for my ledger device because I don't know, I was new to crypto, so I bought it directly from Ledger. But what do you know, Ledger's database was hacked, right? 2019, I believe. So now I constantly get these emails. Thanks for signing up. And I know right away, I just delete it. I know right away. And I'll get an email back from that reputable company. Hey, sorry you got this email, blah, 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 blah. I want to share quickly, Candace, a website for our friends here.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll see if I can share a screen. If you guys have an email and you're not really sure, hey, have I ever been kind of is my email out there in the world and everyone can, spam me and stuff? This website will tell you if you have been to a place that there was a data breach. So you can throw your email in here and let's see, Nate Polmateer. I think this is on my my YouTube channel. Have I been pwned? And then you throw this up. Good news, no pwnage found. But you can throw in any yet. Now that I've just thrown it up on YouTube, everyone's gonna freaking pwn me. No, but it's so I had one of my personal emails, like Bell Canada had a data breach. So it'll show up Bell Canada. It will show up. There was another one, like I bought some Under Armour or something like that, like an Under Armour shirt. And that Under Armour website had a data breach. Doesn't mean they got my password, but they did get my email from that data breach. And now I just get inundated from my personal email because of that. So,
wow.
Have I been pwned.com. Really great website to check out.
Perfect. So Dave D wants to know what the book was. The book was called The Daughter of Man. It was a supernatural thriller. It's about 350 pages. It is on Amazon. So if you just do Candace Mountain, Daughter of Man, you can take a look at it. The Kindle edition is like, I don't make very much on it anymore. Like I think it's like $2 or something. So it's pretty cheap if you ever want to just read it on your Kindle. One of my proudest moments as a writer, just to give you an idea, was I had a father reach out to me and said, he was very mad at me. He says, "You gave my daughter nightmares." And I said, "Did you let her buy that book?" And he was like, "Yes." And I said, "Then it's not my fault." So, just one of those things. I'll just put that out there. All right. So Since Ledger got hacked, it's still safe to purchase their cold water. Is it still safe to purchase their cold wallet? Yeah, they're still the safest place to get the Ledger wallet. The places, a lot of people think, well, okay, well, why don't I just get it on Amazon? And I'll explain to you why Amazon is not the best place. Chances are, if you order it off of Amazon, you're going to be fine. But the problem is, people can resell anything they want on Amazon. And that's why if you ever look at anything on Amazon, you'll notice sometimes you'll get multiple different prices. That's because different sellers are selling it for different amounts. And that's why there's that extra person in the middle. And if that extra person in the middle knows how to unseal something and reseal something, they could be going in there and they could be messing around with that ledger. That's why it's not 100% safe. If it does come from Ledger, you're absolutely fine, which is interesting. And also, if you want the bigger one, like if you want the Ledger X, you can't get that on Amazon anyway. You'd have to get that from Ledger. And, and if you're looking to buy one of those, there are links down below. Put that out there. I think I get a tiny commission on it if you buy one. So it supports the channel, which is a nice thing. No.
Absolutely.
And then Dave D.
We should camp out on that Ledger. I think got your book.
Yeah, absolutely. Camp out on the Ledger.
So Ledger part. So Trish, Ledger, the actual device didn't get hacked. So what it was their database of names, addresses, and emails. So luckily for me, I change my address quite often. Like I move a lot. In our 16 years of marriage, we've moved 13 times. So someone's getting mail. But interesting enough, because they got those addresses, people who own ledgers have gotten letters in the mail with like Ledger letterhead and devices and have said, hey, you need to upgrade your device. Here's the device. Make sure to plug this in. And that's a really slick hack on the part of the scammers. What they do is they end up, the device is actually like a Trojan horse and it takes over your computer. You have no idea. You still use the Ledger as anything, but now they're viewing your computer. Like it's stuff out of like movies. But yeah, because of those. So the actual device wasn't hacked. It was their actual website. Someone from, I don't know, an employee accidentally made, I think it was like an email thing again, that actually made allowed a hacker to get in the back door. But yeah, Ledger is one of the safer ones.
I mean, a lot of things with these reputable companies as well is there is extra security around things that are PII, which is personally identifiable information. So there are laws where that type of information has to have a lot of extra security. So it's much harder for the hackers to get that type of information. So with the Ledger, it was more or less they got access to very superficial information, so nothing personally identifiable. So there was really no big concerns. But as soon as you hear something got hacked, and then if there's crypto involved, it becomes a blowing up story very, very quickly, which kind of sucks.
Yeah, they kind of run with it, right? And a lot of people that support Trezor or other cold storage wallets just like blasted that everywhere. Ledger's not safe. Can you believe it? Ledger's not safe. All those things. You know what? They have some pretty slick people in the background that are just constantly testing their devices. And I don't know if you know this or not, but when they released the X, they were going to release it, then they stopped because they found a bug in it, and they had to, all of their inventory, they had to revamp because there was a bug in the Ledger X. So they revamped it and then they released it afterwards to make sure that it was like top-notch safety. So
absolutely. And we got Russell here who loves the emphasis on using a hardware wallet, guys. It is important. Any of you who don't know who Russell Mathews is, he has a wonderful website, a YouTube channel. Actually, he just started a second one that's more hardware. And he has done some pretty good tutorials on both Ledger, and he's also another one called Grid that I really, really like. Russell has a very good breakdown of the grid. So definitely, guys, check that out. I don't have a link down there right now, but for the after show, I'll add a site down there because it's worth checking that out for as well. Perfect. Okay.
Yeah,
Let's
I
just
really
talk a
enjoy
little
Russell's
bit.
stuff.
Yeah, Russell's pretty awesome. It's funny. Like everywhere I go on the internet, if I leave a comment, if I watch a video, I'm going to try to leave a comment because I like to do that because, I know myself as a YouTuber, I love feedback. And here's the funny thing. For the longest
Same.
time, every place I left a comment, I've run into Nate. It was just like, it was hilarious. Because it was just like, it'd be like, I'd leave a comment on Nate, or sometimes Nate would leave a comment on mine. It was just be like, it's like we were stalking each other. It was hilarious. And I'm pretty sure that on Russell's channel that happened as well. If I remember correctly, that would have been like quite a while ago, but
for sure.
Definitely pretty awesome.
For sure.
All right. Here's something I really want to touch on too. We've sort of explained what a lot of the scams are, but now how can we prevent them? What is the best defense against all of these scams that are going on? I'll give you a couple of my thoughts on that. One, anytime you're being offered something that seems too good to be true, it's probably a scam. So you always want to be careful. Anytime you receive a text message or an email claiming to be from a company that you use, you don't want to ever click on links. If you received an email from, let's say, Amazon, and they were saying that, there's a delay on your order, click here so that we can get it cleared up or something of that nature, don't click on there. Go directly to Amazon's site. If there's a problem, you'll see it there. And 9 times out of 10, you'll get over there and there won't be a problem. The only problem is you just created a problem for that hacker because they're not going to be able to, get to you. So it's kind of using your head very much is really, really important. And this brings us to YouTube. It's really, really easy when you look at the comments on YouTube, especially on the bigger streamers. There's everybody and their dog. There's all these robocombats that are impersonating. They'll use the same profile picture, and they'll usually give you a Telegram or a WhatsApp number. I can guarantee you no YouTuber is going to reach out to you and say, hey, I got a great investment opportunity for you. Come on over to WhatsApp. I'll share it with you. It's never going to happen. And the best way to look at that is if you look at comments, the YouTuber's comment will be highlighted. You can't rely on, there's also usually a little check mark, but I've seen a couple of scammers have gotten crafty enough to create fake check marks that it doesn't look right, but it almost can fool you. But the actual real person who owns the channel, if they reply to you, it will actually have a little bit of a highlight on it. So that's the best way to know if it's legit. And plus, they're not going to ask you to, to go to WhatsApp or to go to Telegram. Those tend to be the two big ones that they try to send you to. And then, of course, if you have all of these commercials, send me 1 Bitcoin, I'll send you 2, or send me 1 Ethereum, I'll send you 2, or send me 1 Doge and I'll send you 2. Those are all scams. And what they do is they use real footage. So they'll take a press conference or something where, Elon maybe gave a presentation or a talk, and they'll have that playing in the background, and it will look all, it'll look all fancy. It will look legit, but Elon does not want any of your crypto, and he's not going to give you back any crypto. And even if it feels like it's coming from a legitimate source, so at one point somebody hacked a Twitter account. It wasn't Elon's Twitter account, but they hacked it to get the blue check mark. They renamed it to Elon's name and put a picture of Elon on it, and then started posting on Twitter. And people who saw it thought it was the real Elon. They saw the blue check mark, and he was still offering that, send me 1 coin, I'll send you 2, or I'll double whatever you send me, I'll double it for you. And it's just not going to happen. So even if it looks 100% like, the real Elon or whoever, it's that whole, they're offering you something incredibly, insanely too good to be true. So don't take that bait that they're laying out there for you. That cheese looks good to the mouse, but when the trap comes down, you just can't escape reality.
Yeah, you're bang on, Candace. And in my earlier days, in around 2018, I invested in a token called Fun Token. It was like the project didn't actually have any active online content, but what it was supposed to be a casino where you could use the Fun token, and it was supposed to be a fair casino because they're using blockchain and everything was going to be transparent. But this one hacker came out with this really good, really convincing idea where they would airdrop Fun tokens. So they posted on Twitter, we are airdropping 500 million Fun tokens. And Fun was like at less than a penny at that time. So it just seemed like, oh, okay, that's not that many. So you go to it and it says, put in your private key so you can have access to the airdrop, so we know exactly what account we need to drop it in. And right there was like, whoa, wait a minute. What? Like all the way along, first it brought you to a website, and then once you got to the website, you'd go to our airdrop. Once you got to the airdrop, then it would bring up this, put in your private key. And even being like a newbie, I knew, not my keys, not my coins. So if I give them my keys, then that's not going to be my coins anymore. So I was like, oh no. And there was an Elon Musk one recently as well with Dogecoin, Doge airdrop. And you go to the website and it was one of those YouTube ones. It was like, click on this link down here. I'm airdropping like 5 billion Doge. And you go to it and same thing. Put in your key here, put in your private key. Never, ever, 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 ever.
Oh God, yeah.
Put your pneumatic phrase, your 24-word phrase, or your private key anywhere to anyone. No one's ever going to ask for that. Ever.
Absolutely.
Do not do it. Don't do it.
Just to be clear, folks, that 24-word phrase, the only time you're ever going to use it is if you have lost your nano and you're basically setting up a new one and you want access to your former to the crypto that you had. Or if you have to reset your nano, if you have to reset it, it's the same thing as basically a fresh install, because you're resetting it. It's going to want those codes to be able to do that for you, to give you access to your coins. Now, Panda says, can you guys make a video on how to set up a Nano X? Just watch the Nano S one. It's the exact same. The only difference is the Nano X, you have more room on it, so you can add a lot more assets to it. But the actual setup, identical. All right.
Yeah, I've been meaning to
Russell
make
says,
that was one. Oh, sorry.
I was just saying, Russell says, thanks for the plug. You guys are killing it. Thanks for the kind words. Dave D, question. If we talk about what exchange we use and what tokens we buy on a live stream, is that risky? It would probably be riskier for somebody like me to talk about what exchanges I'm using and what tokens I buy on a live stream, because they could find out more information about me through watching. If they watched every single video and, and really wanted to social media me to death, they could probably find out a lot. But at the same time, and this goes back to using your hardware wallet, if you use that, you're perfectly safe. And with most exchanges, most exchanges are probably safe, but they're not 100%. The only thing that is 100% is the hardware wallet, and that's where that whole saying, not your keys, not your crypto, comes from. Because there have been situations where some of these exchanges have taken in a lot of money and then have just closed shop without any notice, without any warning, massive rug pull on everybody using them. So, and then the other little danger too is when the market gets very, very volatile, some of these exchanges can start getting overwhelmed. So when you want to be able to move some of your crypto really fast because you're about to lose a bunch of money and all of a sudden you can't even log in, that becomes a bit of a problem. So there's a lot of different reasons why exchanges are not great. They do have a lot of great things about them. Obviously, it is nice getting some interest, for example. It's nice to be able to stake, but on your exchanges, you can do staking on them as well. On your hardware, you can do staking, and I plan to actually make some videos in the future to show you how, because I think I've had that asked on the Facebook group. Speaking of Facebook, if any of you guys are not yet in the Financial Brew Facebook group, definitely check that out, because I tend to drop a lot of stuff there, including some of the TA. So sometimes you'll hear on one of the other channels. I think Ryan the other day was talking about my my big Bitcoin chart that I've got going right now on the 1 day. And that's where it is. So if you go over there, you can sort of see how it's going. Sometimes that can give you a little bit of an insight onto where the market should be going. But keep in mind, with TA, it's probabilities. TA can fail. So I always say take it with a pinch of salt, because you know that there's a greater probability of something going up, but that doesn't mean it won't go down. So that's kind of an interesting thing there. All right, and we got from Caesar. Sorry, Candace, I don't have Facebook, never did. And that's totally fine. At least you know where to find me, Caesar. And I don't think you've ever missed me. So that's pretty awesome all by itself. There was something else. Oh, there was another thing you had mentioned that brought, there was recently an Amazon scam for an Amazon token. I saw the ad and I was like, what? What? Amazon doesn't have a token. And it was talking about saying that the Amazon's going to be venturing into crypto and with its own token that it's going to use in its store. And people were like, they were making fun of Amazon, but for the wrong reason, because they thought it was real, but it was 100% a scam. And that's kind of that whole thing. You see an ad on Facebook for an Amazon token, for example. Well, go to Amazon. If Amazon was going to come out on a token, it would be everywhere. The news would, like BNN would have a big article on it. It'd be the news of the week, really, if Amazon was, confirming they were jumping into crypto. So it's one of those things, always use your head, and it will absolutely, every time, it will save you from so much pain, because when you get scammed, it's not a great thing. Now, did you see that one there, Nate?
Yeah, 100%. I haven't seen that yet. I'm sure I'll come across it. I'm surprised how many of these ads get published of these complete scams. Like but at the same time, I'm not that surprised, because they can't filter through like the, billions and billions of ads that they're getting, or millions. I don't know what the number is. Maybe I'm exaggerating a bit, but there's so many ads, and these ads actually look kind of legit. They look fairly legit, like Amazon bringing you a token.
Absolutely.
And the new metaverse. Like, yeah, it's interesting.
Well, and that's the thing. Build in on the hype, and then you can sort of sneak a scam in. Interesting thing about ads is there's this one ad that's been annoying it's just been annoying me completely. It's this Elon Musk ad where they start off with that girl who played Harley Quinn in a bathtub, and then they through the power of computers, put his head on her face, and he talks about how he just hijacked a bathtub. And I was looking at it, and it was like, this it comes off like a scam. It absolutely does. And it annoys me. It actually annoyed me to the point that I broke down and subscribed to premium, just so I don't have to watch it anymore. But the funny thing is, I did the due diligence on it, and it turned out that it was an actual company that was doing this ad, and they were actually a legitimate company. because it just everything about it came off as scammy. Like it rang every single bell. But after doing my due diligence, it was like, oh, okay, that is a legitimate company. Because I was trying to figure out how they managed to get, all of the words from Elon, because he gives this very, like, it's almost like a 5-minute speech in a bathtub. And it turned out to be a legitimate ad. But it's one of them weird things. Like YouTube has this habit of showing you the exact same ad over and over. And then I'll talk to somebody else. I think I mentioned it to Ryan once, and he was just like, yeah, I've never seen it. I'm like, oh my God, I see this like 20 times a day. So it's just ridiculous. But I did get rid of it. So now I've got the Prime, which is good. So Just keep in mind, folks, if you get really sick of all the YouTube commercials, you can get Prime, and then you don't have to watch them anymore, which is nice. And even YouTubers who are monetized, if you watch their videos when you got Prime on, they still get credit for ads. So, they still make some money.
Really?
They do.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
I don't know if they make as much as what they would get if the person actually watched the ads or not, but they do get compensated for it. So that's
I know if you use like an ad blocker.
Yeah.
If you use an ad blocker, they don't get compensated for it.
That's true. And here's another interesting thing: if you mute them, if you use YouTube's mute, apparently they won't get credit. But if you instead go up and mute the tab, then YouTube doesn't know you've muted it, and it counts it as full viewing.
Oh, interesting.
But yeah, there's a whole bunch of interesting ways the way that YouTube works. Okay, now I guess my next question here for you, Nate, is how are you doing investing wise? Because I think we've kind of killed the scammers already. I think they've been officially busted.
They have been obliterated. So recently, I'm just kind of storing cash away at this point. And I started doing this about 3.5 months ago because things were just getting a little bit crazy. And I thought, you know what? I feel like there's going to be a correction soon. And maybe I'll just have some egg on my face. And if I do have egg on my face, then I have 10% of my portfolio in cash. And then I can, buy the dip. So that's kind of the idea behind it, that because I just felt like, okay, every time I got a paycheck or every time I had money to dollar cost average in, I would just spend it on whatever stocks I'm buying, right? And I was like, you know what? If there's like a big move in the market, I'm not going to sell stock to buy stock. Like when there was that huge dip in March, like I didn't have money to buy it because my money was already tied up. So like Bitcoin drops down in March 2020, Bitcoin drops down to like $3,000, and I don't have any money to buy the dip. So put some, my thought here is, you know what? I'm going to put 5-10% in cash. And then if there is some kind of crazy market volatility, then I'll buy it. There is a risk in that as well. And people should know that when you put money in cash, because it just gets eaten by inflation, right? So I put it in a high interest savings account, EQ Bank. It's 1.25% interest. It's not a lot, but
folks.
Yeah, go down, check it out. It's better than sticking it in your checking account, right? So
I actually do have I have a video planned on EQ Bank. Well, it's going to be on Unbank.
Cool.
And EQ plays into that, into the strategy I'm going to sort of look at in that video. That's coming up, I think, early December, or either late November, early December. I have a lot of videos planned, which is kind of
definitely one of the ones I wanted to like get into at some point. Anyway, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Oh, what was it? What did you want to get into? EQ Bank or Unbanking?
EQ Bank. There's EQ Bank videos. I got the Wealthsimple Cash debit card like a month and a half ago or 2 months ago. I was going to do a video on that, but I don't know. I have so many ideas running through my head, and at some point I'll be like, all right, I'm going to sit down 10 hours a week and hammer out videos.
Figure that out. Get it done.
I'm so busy right now, right?
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, for you guys who don't know, Nate has a farm, so he's got silos and everything. So that's a lot of work. Now, Caesar, you did mention about the whole pump and dump, and that's another thing. It's not a scammer per se, but it is kind of bad. You'll find this with a lot of the bigger YouTube streamers, more in the States than anything else. You know, they'll buy a whole bunch of a coin. So let's say there's a new coin out, we'll call it Vampire coin, VAMP. So they buy a whole bunch of this Vampire coin, and then they'll come onto their they'll go onto their show, and they'll be like,
"Where do I get it?"
Well, exactly. They'll tell you where to get it. They'll pump it up as though it's going to be the next 100-time coin. And then, if they have 10,000 people watching the show, those 10,000 people all buy into their coin. That coin does go up, of course. And when they're buying, when you're watching it, you're like, oh my God, that YouTuber is so right. They're right. Look at it. Look at the coin. It's just exploding. While the YouTuber's just sitting there going, okay, yep, now there's my profits. And then they sell it all. They crash the entire thing. All of their viewers who put in the money into Vampire coin, all of a sudden, they just had the blood sucked from their bank accounts. See what I did there? But anyway.
I like that. Yeah, great job there, Candace.
Thanks. But that's one of those things that does happen. So you got to be very, very careful when it comes to hype. I mean, you always, of course, want to do your due diligence. But if you have a YouTuber who's just absolutely making a coin sound like it's the best thing since sliced bread, don't buy it. Seriously, don't buy it. Leave it alone. Do your research. If it does look like there's some validity in what they're saying, don't buy it right away. Just sit back and make sure that they're not pulling a giant pump and dump on you, because it does happen. It's, in my opinion, it's very immoral to do that. And I will absolutely never do that to you guys. I mean, it's one of those things that I can't fathom why anybody would do that to their viewers. Because, as a YouTuber, the viewers are the most important part of the channel. I host the channel, but without viewers, me sitting here hosting it would be ridiculously boring. So it wouldn't be a good thing for sure. But that's the big pump and dump to be wary of. It's not technically scamming, but it is something you want to always be aware of. And Dave D, don't forget to let everybody know that the freaking Oracle has a channel now. Absolutely. So every Friday night, well, I don't want to say every Friday night, but I'll say probably every Friday night, the freaking Oracle has a little live stream on. Usually you'll find myself on it, Danters, Rye's been on it, and it's more of just a laid back. So if you think about the community and the financial YouTubers that sort of hang around in this community, it's like, we're not really there to talk a lot about coins. We're not there to, it's more of a let your hair down, and I call it the chill stream. But that's the friggin' Oracle. And, and of course we do of course still touch on crypto. It's hard to pull us all together and have us not talk about crypto or stocks or something in the financial sector. It's sort of like, if you take 5 people who work in the same place and you put them in a room, they're going to be talking shop talk. You can't stop it. So definitely great. And then I had a rug pull coin. Oh, here's a good one. So the Oracle, the friggin' Oracle, he had a rug pull coin before. It was not just from hype, it was from getting a coin before everyone else. And that's the whole thing. If you pull in way too soon, you can have an interesting thing. Now, let me just ask here. Ken, did you want to jump on and tell everybody that story? Because I thought that was a good story. If you do, let me know. I will fire you off a link eventually. There we go. Give me a second.
I do have You were talking about stocks, and one thing I did want to share with you guys is one portfolio I have, a specific a specific portfolio I have for stocks is I follow Warren Buffett. So I have like a bunch of stocks on Wealthsimple, and it's all just Warren Buffett stocks. So you can go and you can find out what Warren Buffett's holding, and you can buy to that percentage. So if it's, you have like, let's say you have $10,000, you can't buy all of the stocks that he has in Apple because, he has $1 billion in Apple. So, but you can buy whatever that percentage of $10,000 is. So it might be 5 Apple stocks. And then you're going to buy like, I don't know, 5 BAC stocks. And, so one of my portfolios is like that because I just wanted to, I've heard of that strategy before. Why not, like, if you don't know how to invest, why not just follow the coattails of someone like Warren Buffett? And if you've done that over the last 10, 20 years, you would have done quite well, even though you're purchasing them after he purchases them, even though you're purchasing late. Like he's purchasing them 3 months ago, and you can see on the SEC what he's purchased and what he sold. Even though he's done that, you can even follow lockstep 2 months later, and you'll still do quite well.
Well, exactly. I mean, it's interesting too. I mean, in the States, anybody who is in a big corporation or company, all of their trades are absolutely public. So you can see what the whales are doing. Crypto, it's on an open blockchain, so you can see everything that's going on there. But stock-wise, you can also see everything all the trades that are being made. They have to give all of that information to the SEC. So it's kind of a neat way that you can sort of get a feel for what's going on. And it's almost like insider trading, but it's not. It's just always good to have as much information as possible because that is just it's just smart when it comes to trading. And Warren Buffett, I mean, he's stood the test of time. This guy has made, loads of cash his entire career. So if there's a portfolio stock wise you want to emulate, his portfolio is not bad. And keep in mind though, that with a lot of the American companies, you can now get those CDRs through the CIBC, and you can buy those on Wealthsimple, commission free down below. And you can put those, of course, into your TFSA or your RRSP or your personal account if you really want to, and not pay all of the conversion fees. So you can still have the same benefits, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, so Caesar's asking if I'm up. Yeah, so at this point in time, 6%. So I'm up 6%.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So I didn't start that like all that long ago. I started in June. In June I started that. So I'm up 6% since June. The tough part with it is it's all American. Like it's all American.
We should look into the CDR part because you can, those are just they're nice. There's been a few stocks on that I've been looking that I had bought originally in American, and I'm now sort of phasing them out just to put them into the CDRs because they're nice, they're smaller. I'm not paying any kind of conversion fee on them. The only ones that I haven't are ones that have dividends. So, for example, my Apple stocks are still in American because Apple does give a dividend. It's not a big dividend, mind you, but it's just that little tiny dividend, and I like it. I am very much a fan of the dividends, as anybody who's watched my videos can tell. Now, what do you like your stock wise, Nate? Are you more of a dividend, or are you more of a growth, or what is your general strategy?
Okay, so my general strategy is more like value. I do hold like tightly to kind of like a Warren Buffett kind of idea, but being Canadian, I also look at comparables. So if he's going to invest in T-Mobile, which is one of the biggest mobile carriers in the US, who am I going to invest in? Well, I'm going to look at like a Bell Canada, TELUS. I'm going to look to Rogers, and then like you can't really go wrong. It's really a triopoly, really, for those three carriers for mobile
Well, there's
coverage
also,
here in
I don't know
Canada.
if you've seen
Each
the
of them
news.
have
There's also
more advantages.
Yeah, there's also Quebecor that's looking at going national because they're sort of sitting back, and what they're saying is with the merger of Rogers and Shaw, they have a feeling that parts of the business of Shaw will have to be sold off to make the merger happen. And they're thinking that they might even be able to pick up the Freedom part of Shaw and then go nationwide. So that's kind of a really interesting thing if Quebecor could actually do that. So if that's starting to happen, Quebecor might be someone to invest in, because there could definitely be a nice little pump in their share for sure. Okay.
So
And then
there's
the
up
freaking
20% on Apple. Wow.
Yeah. Oh, Apple's been doing really well lately. Well, they've had all the new MacBook Pros, and the fact that they're going over really, really well, and the M chips are just completely blowing Intel out of the water. I think Apple's got a really bright future, especially with the M. And some of the leaks that have come out recently on Apple with the next versions of M, the next two generations of M, we're looking at insanity with the amount of speed that you're going to have. You're going to have more speed than anybody really needs to have. But if we go back to YouTube, if you are somebody who does video creation, I use a MacBook Pro for my video creation, and I still have I bought mine in July, so I still have the Intel chip in it. But even still, I can process an entire video. Like I can take a 20-minute video, and I can have it processed in 5 minutes. So that's like really, really good compared to years ago. Like once I finish editing of course takes time, but from the moment I start processing to the moment I can have it live on YouTube, it's usually probably about maybe 15 minutes total. So that's not too bad. Wow. That's not too shabby.
That's impressive.
Okay. Caesar says, nice, buddy. I think he's talking to the friggin' Oracle. I'm down on everything. And then that FML, I don't swear, so I can't say that out loud, Panda.
That's why, my life.
Yeah. Well, that's why I have my own word for swearing. It's called banana bread. That's why you hear the occasional banana bread come out. And it's kind of funny. I was always saying, like, I used to work in, I used to manage a call center for a while. And so I made that my swear word, because you just couldn't swear there. And it became to the point that I used it so much that it just naturally flows out. But I said to myself when I became a YouTuber, okay, let's not use banana bread. Let's just leave it alone. But then I think it came out in one video, and now it's at the point where I'm just like, it's almost like a catchphrase. It's like, maybe I should make sure I drop at least one banana bread later in the video so people will stay until they've heard where the banana bread's going to drop. It's like, stay until the banana bread hits the fan. Trust me. It'll be great. Oh, dear. Apple doesn't have a CARC.
Well, Panda says...
Oh, yes. What was that? Panda said,
banana bread my life. So...
There we go. See, that's friggin' awesome. Banana bread my life. And Apple, yes.
Have you seen that? Makes me think of...
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, there must be a delay here. But there's, I was going to say, have you seen there's a TikTok video of a girl that goes like, hello, I'm Rachel, and I'm going to tell you how to make a sandwich. And then like she talks in Spanish. And then she's like, make me a sandwich. That means. And then like, as she finishes, the person like throws the sandwich at her head because they're just, so the banana bread in my life kind of makes me think of that. Like Panda's sitting on the
Oh,
couch.
wow.
All of a sudden he's like, banana bread. And a big piece of banana bread hits him in the head. Anyway.
Oh gosh, I have very amusing images in my head right now. All right.
It's just bread and bananas.
Well, yeah. And the funny thing is, it's been years since I've actually eaten any banana bread. So, doesn't Apple have a car coming out? There is talk of an Apple car. So Apple is looking to get into the EV market. And apparently, according to Panda, the Apple car is ugly. And then there's the banana bread one again. Panda, best thing you can do with crypto is have 10 coins, 5 you don't have to watch, like DOT, ADA, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and 5 to make profits that you watch and trade to top up the other 5. That's smart. I think so. Diversification is one of these things that I've noticed, at least in the crypto side of things, people seem to forget about it. You know, they're sort of like, I'm just here to make the big money. You know, and they're moving things and people take gambles bigger than they would ever take in the stock market. In crypto, they're just, it's like people are just like, oh, the money it's coming. Everybody's going to get rich. Let's just do this. You still got to do your due diligence. And you'll notice the freaking Oracle has talked about putting that stability into a lot of coins. So he's not, even though it sounds like when he's talking about Satama and I've done this with Kitty Eno and I don't think he's into Kitty Eno yet. I know Tim Dancher is, but when people are talking about those things, it seems like they're throwing everything in, but they're not. So that's one of the things to keep in mind. A lot of times when, some of us are talking about what we're doing, keep in mind, we also have that back stuff on the burner. And in my case, I've also got, I've got a good amount in the stocks, and I've got well diversification in the stocks. So if in crypto were to entirely, let's just say for some weird, unusual reason, the entire crypto market collapsed to zero tomorrow, I'm not screwed. I've got my stock side. Same thing as if the stock market absolutely collapsed and the dollar collapsed. I'm not screwed. I've got my crypto side. So it's kind of diversification. It's that way to really make sure that when things do hit the fan, you're not picking banana bread off your face. You're picking yourself up because you've got a backup plan. So some people can call it playing conservative, but I like to call it playing smart. Okay.
Yeah, I've had a hard time, Candace, with.
Go ahead.
I've had a hard time, Candace, with crypto diversification. And this is what I mean by it. So I have 20 different coins that I'm in, and I feel like I'm diversified. But would that not be just like being in all tech stocks? Like you have 20 different tech stocks, so you're in the same sector.
I think diversification.
So I would say crypto is one sector.
Mm-hmm. It is, and when I say diversification, I think within crypto, I think the thing to do is to look at balancing. I was going to say stable coins, but not really stable coins. Things like balancing the big ones. So, your Bitcoin, your Ethereum, your Polkadot, because you know that those are not going to, those are going to be good long-term investments against your altcoins. So don't throw everything into Kitty Eno in hopes of becoming a millionaire. You want to make sure you've got enough sitting in the bigger boys. So you're, Polkadot, Ethereum, Bitcoin, of course, because that's the best way to diversify in crypto. And some people, and I know there are some people who come to this community who are pretty much entirely in crypto. And with them, it's even more important because if you put all your money into one coin or one type of coin, when a bear market hits, for example, a lot of altcoins, they may get hurt really, really badly. And if all your money is into these altcoins, well, that hurt is going to get passed on to you, and you don't want that to happen. You want to be able to, you want to be able to pick yourself up off the ground when a bear market comes, and have yourself in a position where you can then have a plan on how to make some money as you eventually get out of the bear market. So, for example, buying the dip. So, that's where, if you can see, if you're lucky enough to see the bear market coming, you can move a few things over into some, some USDC, for example. Then you'll have some funding that you can actually use to start buying cheaper Bitcoin or cheaper Ethereum, cheaper Polkadot, for example. So it's kind of, you got to really pay attention, I feel, especially right now, because the thing with crypto is the volatility in crypto, it's because crypto is still fairly a new asset, and we still don't have as much institutional adoption that will stabilize it. Once we get that institutional adoption, that's going to completely change the game a little bit. And then we're really going to start seeing a bit more diversification, in that we'll be able to see which coins are going to be lifers, as in they're not going to go anywhere. And we're going to get a shakeout, I think, on some of the meme coins, because a lot of times the meme coins, they're more or less, they just come along and they're a great opportunity to make some fast money. But once again, you shouldn't be betting the entire kitchen sink on it. But you can make some money and then get out, because they're basically giant. They're kind of like pump and dump, except for everybody's sort of scamming everybody in that sense, because everybody's just pumping them, trying to everybody wants to be the next Doge millionaire. But, most people are not going to be there, because most people are going to get in too high when the hype's already going full speed. And a lot of them are going to get burned if they don't get out. Now, somebody like the freaking Oracle, he's actually pretty good. I've watched how he'll jump out. Occasionally he makes a mistake and jumps out too soon. But you know what? I'd rather make a mistake and jump out too soon than, not jump out in time and lose half my money on the table. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Yes, but stocks are not as volatile as stocks. I think he means as crypto. Yeah, there we go. Crypto, sorry. All right, Panda. I used to hold ETH, ADA, XRP, DOT, VEET, Shiba, Matic, Theta, and Doge. I think there's going to be more to that. Then I realized I want to make big gains, go hard or go home. No risk, no reward mindset. It's risky. It's risky to do that, Panda. It's above my risk protocols. But I mean, if that works out well for you, I'll certainly applaud you. But for somebody who's new getting into crypto, you absolutely don't want to follow Paul Panda's example. You want to sort of play it safe until you understand the market better. Then if you really want to, follow Panda's lead and jump into some insanely risky stuff, then by all means, go ahead for sure. And let's see, Caesar Canada, in your opinion, what are the signs of the bear market or crypto winter? That's the hardest thing to say. A lot of people will tell you they know exactly when the bear market's coming. Those people are lying to you, because they don't. Nobody can tell exactly when it's coming. Will there be signs? With Bitcoin, there tends to be a blow off top. So then it goes up really, really high, and then it starts to plummet really, really fast. So with the last, what was that? I thought you said something.
Sorry, I was talking to my wife.
Oh, okay. So
I think she's watching a video and our internet can't handle it.
Oh, that's why. Okay. All right. So what I was saying here with the blow off top. So the last time, like last spring, we really didn't have that blow off top. And so that's why people were thinking that we weren't going into a bear market. And we weren't. It wasn't a bear market. It was a correction. It was a very deep correction. a very deep and long correction. But at the same time, interesting thing is, as Bitcoin got down towards 30K, all the bears were screaming, we're going down to 10K or 20K. Interestingly enough, the technical analysis that I was using was saying 30K was it. We weren't going below that. So I knew there was a high probability that 30K was the bottom, and so I bought a lot of Bitcoin at 30K. And sure enough, it did go below 30K. Well, it wicked slightly below 30K, and then it went sideways for a while and slowly worked up, and now we're back up towards 60K. That doesn't tell us, of course, what the signs are of a bear market, but when a bear market happens, one of the things you'll see with Bitcoin is if we get the blow off top, it'll be pretty obvious. Hopefully, if you're paying attention at that point, if you're looking to move, for example, your Bitcoin profits over to a stable coin because you're planning to buy back when it gets lower, you might have a chance to see it. However, here's the thing. If you remember, the dancers were talking about dollar cost averaging out. So as we get towards the end of the year, we know it's coming. We just don't know exactly when. And it doesn't hurt to start taking a little profit here and there, just moving it over into a stable coin. And then if it does catch you off guard, if we have a blow off top and it moves down really quickly, you've got something to work with already. So that may actually save you from, because if it drops like 50% in, well, we'll say 50%, but if it drops like say 20% in a day, because sometimes, and you've seen how Bitcoin can move. When Bitcoin went down into that big correction last spring, it moved fast. There was not a lot of time for people to really, figure out what was happening. And then a lot of YouTubers were like going, oh, it's not going to go all the way down. And then they were all of a sudden, it's like, oh, it's going all the way down. So don't listen to YouTubers. That's, I'm a YouTuber. I probably shouldn't be saying don't listen to me, but when it comes to that, you got to use your own head. You really got to pay attention to what's happening. If it's getting to the point that it's, you're having sleepless nights because Bitcoin is doing some strange stuff, move a little profits out. You'll feel a little bit better in a case like that. It never hurts to take profits, because that's what you're here for ultimately, is that we're all here to make money, and taking profits is making money. So that makes absolutely perfect sense. But I think once we get into the new year, start paying more attention, because right now I don't know how deep we're going to get into the new year. A lot of people have a lot of different ideas. Some people think, as early as mid-January, we could be looking down. Others think it could be sort of follow a similar pattern to next year, and we might make it through February, maybe just make it into March. But time will tell. And I think once we get into the new year, we're going to be able to sort of see and have a better idea if it looks like the momentum, because you're going to look at a lot of things. You're going to look at the volume that we're having. We're going to look at the current volatility as we're moving in. We're also going to look at things, for example, what's going on in the world, because all of these things will all play a part. Politics can sometimes really impact the prices of crypto. Every time China decides they want to ban Bitcoin, at one point that was driving Bitcoin down. I think a lot of what happened in the last week with Bitcoin was because of the regulations in that infrastructure bill in the US that got passed. Once Biden signed it, it was like, Bitcoin was in for a rough week, and we had it, and right now we are starting to recover, which is good. Okay. Whew, that was a very long answer.
Great job, Candace. I was able to remember that I had to shake my phone.
Oh, that's good. Everybody, don't forget to shake your phones. And what if Saitama turns out to be the next Shiba? Well, here's the thing about Saitama. A lot of people think Saitama, a lot of people are saying, oh, 1 cent Saitama. I don't think it'll ever get to 1 cent. just the sheer amount of market cap it would need to hit 1 cent is, I think it's unreasonable right now. But at the same time, sometimes things surprise me. I've been wrong with Satama, or not with Satama, but with Shibu. I did not expect it to do as well as it did, but nice on Shiba. And I think the Kitty Inu is probably going to do really well too. But at the same time, I have a hard time jumping in on these, meme coins. Now, Kitty actually does intrigue me a little bit because it's a little bit more than a meme coin. Because the way Kitty Inu was set up is they have functionality on it. They've got a game, but they were like, you know what? Why don't we just cash in on the craze of meme coins and make it look like a meme coin? So Kitty Inu is almost like a wolf in sheep's clothing in a way. So it could have some potential there, and the dancers have jumped all over it. So I think Kitty Inu, out of all of the Inus, intrigues me the most. All right, so let's see. Crap coins have done way more for me than the top 3. I don't want to wait 20 years for profit. Okay, and that's fair enough. You know what? There's nothing wrong with taking profits early, but just don't bet the whole bank on it. Have a foundation. And, with myself, I have probably, out of all of my finances, I've got about 20% that I use for swing trading and sort of riskier trading. It's not going to net me. If something explodes, I'm not going to have life-changing health, but I'm still going to have profit. And I'm okay with that. I'm pretty patient when it comes to things. If I were to see something that I was 100% sure of, I would probably swing a little bit more money into it. But the technicals would have to really, really be speaking to me to do that, because I don't like losing money when I can help it. So if Bitcoin goes to 100K, it'll be a 2x. If Shiba goes to 1/4 of a cent, and it will be a 1,000,000x. Yeah, that is true. I mean, that's the thing about a small cap coin. But I heard a story the other day, and the way the story went was this guy found, in this case, it was a stock, but it could just as easily be a coin. And he thought it had potential to go up, so he invested in it. It was like a penny. So he put a lot of money into it, and sure enough, it went up a couple of pennies. It went up a couple of cents, and so he came back and he bought more, and it went up again. It was up about 5 cents, and at that point, he was like, "Oh, this thing is just flying up." So he put his entire life savings into it, and it went up. Sure enough, it went up to like 25 cents, and he was just over the moon. So he went back to his broker. He's like, "Okay, I want to cash it all out." And the broker came back to him and said, "To who? You're the only person who's been buying this coin. There's no other sellers. There's nobody." So it normally doesn't happen that way. But it's one of those things that when you do get into a new coin, you want to make sure that there's volume going on. You want to make sure that there is people to buy it, because you don't want to get stuck into something like, speaking of scams, you had the Squid Game coin. People, a lot of people were going nuts as the price on that was just starting to fly, into an insane territory. But the whole thing was just ended up being a giant rug pull. So you want to be careful when you decide to jump in wholeheartedly into something. Do your due diligence, or in my case, only bet what you're willing to lose. Because, if you do lose it, it's going to hurt. I would feel really bad for poor Panda if Panda made a bad choice and ended up losing everything. But Panda's pretty smart, so I'm hoping that doesn't happen. Okay. And the freaking Oracle is thanking us for my long-winded answers. seems I've reminded a lot of people, and Nate helped too. Sheba, get caught up here. What day are you on ShakePay, Ken? Ooh. Oh, and we have a Danter in the house. There we go. We have Tim Danter. Tim, make sure you shake.
Hey, Tim.
And then damn, that sucks. I'm at day 97. The highest I got to is 110. I'm at about 154, I think. Timmers, what's going on? Tim. I lost my ShakePay streak at 249. Oh, wow.
That's okay, Rye. Happens to the best of us.
It happens, absolutely. And Panda's like, gee, his day 249. That's crazy. If I lost everything, I would be dying of laughter. Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, I probably would be too. Because I look at it this way. One of the best things about this community is that we know how to become millionaires. We're not there yet. I think Ken's probably the closest, but we're technically all not there yet, but we know how to get there. And if something were to happen and one of us got wiped out completely, we're not going to lose the knowledge. We're still going to, we've got the community, we got the support. We got a great group of people. We can still get there. It's the whole, if you fall off the horse, get back on it. So I can respect that Panda would find that kind of funny. And I would also expect that Panda is the type of person who would pick himself back up and would still be fine. The only thing I usually say is this is kind of an age game, I guess, when it comes to investing. If you are, let's say you're a boomer and you're getting close to retirement, you don't want to be making any risky moves because you just don't have the time. Even a Gen X, I would say you want to be a little bit close. You want to be a little bit more conservative. Now, if you're a millennial or if you're one of them Zoomer folk just starting to get in on everything, you got lots of time to make mistakes if you want to, which is fine. But you've also got lots of time to really, really build up an amazing portfolio. If I was a Zoomer, so somebody, for example, like SM, I haven't seen SM, I don't think, tonight. It's probably because I forgot to mention to him that I had a stream tonight, but he'll catch this on the rerun anyway. But if we had SM in here, he's a Zoomer, and he's not yet old enough to invest. But with the knowledge that kid is going to have when he starts investing, when he hits like 19 or 18, whatever the legal age is for investing, he'll easily be a millionaire in his 30s. So that's going to be really cool for him, for sure. All right, and we got, if I lose everything, start expecting 5 videos a day. Oh, that would be kind of funny. I think Ryan is a bit too smart to lose everything, so too much stress for 60 cents a day. I'll be watching and liking those videos, Rye. So that makes sense. So I think Rye will be fine. So let's get your last questions in here, folks, because we're heading towards the 2-hour mark. So let's aim to end this in about 10-15 minutes. So last questions for the legendary Nate Polmateer, or just anything that's on your mind. Let's just throw it out there. If you ask me to describe how a black hole works, I'll do it. Just throw a question at me. Or Nate.
I do want to respond a little bit to Caesar's question way back when, like, when will we know crypto winter's coming? One thing that I kind of go to is history. How has this played out before? So whether that's like stock market history or even crypto history, and you kind of look at these waves, and that doesn't mean you're gonna be able to figure out when those waves are going to happen. But of course, Rye asks about a black hole. Um, but you distracted me, Rye. But you can look back in 2013. There's like this big ride up, and then it came down, and then it lasted until like 2017, and then it came up, and then it came down again, then it lasted until 2021, and then so I don't know. Maybe we are getting close to the top. It's hard. That's what the difficult part of timing it, because really the question is, how do you time the market? And well, you can. Is this like a great time to buy the dip because it's going to go up and ride another high wave, or are you trying to catch a falling knife? I don't know. So just stick to the strategy that works for you and that you're comfortable with, and go with that.
Yeah, well, exactly.
How does a black hole
all
work?
right, so I wanted to know how a black hole works. In a nutshell, there's this thing called a Schwarzschild radius. So the Schwarzschild radius of any object is the size in which you have to compress that object down to before it will start collapsing in on its Earth. So on itself. So for example, the Earth, the Schwarzschild radius is about the size of a pea. So if you could compress the Earth down to the size of a pea, at that point, the attraction between all of the molecules will become so great that nothing could escape from it. It would become a singularity, which is where everything gets crushed down into one very fine point. Now, that little tiny pea black hole would have the same gravity as the Earth. So the moon could still orbit exactly where it's at. So it's not going to suck things in. It's going to still behave at that same gravity. Hence, when a giant star does it, a giant star has a ton of gravity. So when it gets shrunk down to its Schwarzschild radius, which is not going to be the size of a pea, it's going to be much, much bigger, it's still going to have the same gravity. If something gets too close, it'll still get sucked in the same way it would if it got too close to the star before it became a black hole. But anyway, that's roughly how black holes work, without getting into things like Hawking radiation, which gets into a little bit of antimatter, matter stuff. Anyway. Let's go to the next question. I probably lost 6 viewers while we did that.
What coins do you hold? I'm not super great about sharing what I hold, but I will tell you about one maybe less known coin that maybe not too many people hold, is ARK. So I hold ARK, and I'll be public about that, and of course Bitcoin. Yeah, so I hold ARK. ARK is a coin that you can stake in the Ledger wallet. It's not something that people think about a lot, and yeah, ARK is like a coin that works with other coins, and it's really about this foundation for other coins to work in it, and interportability and that kind of stuff. But yeah, so ARK, look it up, ARK. It's not flying off the shelf right now, so I'll let you know that. Like, I think at one point in like 2018, it was among the top 100. Never made it into like top 10 or anything like that, but it's just never really had a lot of. But yet, you know, you got the Shiba Inus and the Doges and all these other coins that don't really have that much. Maybe they do have a lot of use cases, but people are buying them. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, everyone was buying the dip in June. It was so sad because it still kept dropping hard. Well, if you bought Bitcoin in June, you're in profit today. I'll just put that out there.
Does Caesar actually have to ask me what my favorite coin is? Oh no, Caesar, you don't know me long enough.
He did.
Litecoin. Litecoin,
yeah,
LTC.
Yeah, Nate loves the Litecoin.
You know, it was one of my first. One of my first coins I ever bought, and I love Litecoin. Yeah.
We did not pass through a black hole in 2012. There's this thing called spaghettification. We'd all be a lot thinner right now if we did. Okay. I hold Freeway Token, FWT. And I know Caesar is a fan. I have not had a chance to look at Freeway Token. And it's on my list of coins to look at because I know the other day on Rise channel, Caesar had mentioned Freeway Token. I was like, okay, I got to take a look at that because I haven't looked at it yet. But yeah, I'm thinking on getting into yield farming. Any advice? I'll
I'm
tell you,
not
Zach,
touching that. You can touch that.
I find I haven't done a lot of farming for the simple reason that I tend to be a bit more conservative. I find I'm not saying it's super risky, but there is a risk to it. The person I would talk to, Dave, is well, there's two people. On next Crypto Night in Canada, if Tim Perry's on there, he knows a lot more about farming than I think the rest of us. I would also talk to Ken. I think Ken has a good grasp on farming. So I'm not going to jump in there. Like if I do a video on farming, I'm going to have to jump in there and probably learn a lot more about farming, because those are the people I will go to when I decide to make a farming video, because it's something I do want to get into, at least education wise. Okay, Caesar, yes.
My I guess conservative spidey senses just go off the charts for farming. And just like these huge yields, I'm like, this can't be true. Like I'm gonna get wiped out. That's why I just stay away from it. But that's where my risk tolerance is at.
You see, and this is exactly, and I think this is a great piece of advice. Farm on anything but ETH. That makes sense, because you don't want to be paying them high gas fees. So if I do any farming, somehow Polkadot will be related to it. I just can't seem to escape Polkadot. But it's because I love it so much. I like the risk. That's fair enough. Fair enough. And with Rye, we got these yields are a trap for the vulnerable, in my opinion, not sustainable. It's true. Some of these high yields are not sustainable. And I know a lot of different ones that came out. If you remember back in the day with Crypto Night in Canada, Tim Perry was telling us about some absolutely insane yields he was getting. And even then, he was saying that these yields aren't going to be around for that much longer, because once you get more and more people in, those yields start to come down big time. So I think farming is going to be one of those ones that you have to kind of get in early to get some of those yields. If it's too good to be true, it is. And that was kind of one of the themes of the show, if it's too good to be true. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. All right, guys, we're getting pretty darn close. Got any final questions? No. Farm on DeFi.
Did you know much about BitConnect, Candace? Did you hear much about BitConnect?
Not a lot, to be honest.
So BitConnect was, so when I got in late 2016 and then into 2017, BitConnect became this rage, because you could deposit your Bitcoin and they would give you BitConnect. They would give you your BitConnect tokens, and you would get these insane yields, like insane percentages, 15% a day, 20% a day. And you know what? They had advertisements, they had all this. It ended up being this massive pyramid scheme. And as soon as money stopped flowing in, it just collapsed in on itself. But it was going for a long time. And there were so many YouTubers that were just pushing it and saying, yeah, it's legit. It's legit. Like, I put my money and I'm taking it up. And so many people lost so much money on it. And this is why I'm a little bit like, on farming. I'm like,
and that makes
I don't
sense,
know.
absolutely.
Maybe, like it just.
Because farming feels like a pyramid scheme. Only, I'm not saying it's a pyramid scheme, but I say it feels like it because the people who get in early make a ton of money, and everybody who gets in a little bit later makes less and less and less. And obviously at the bottom, if a bunch of people get in, just as it becomes no longer viable, some people can lose money for sure. So it's like a pyramid scheme, though it's not a pyramid scheme.
Yeah.
I just want to be clear on that. I don't want people to be like saying, Candace said farming's a pyramid scheme. I didn't. So, yeah. Panda knows BitConnect. Yeah, see, I remember
People were
hearing
still
a bit
buying the
about it.
token. People were still buying the token even after it was outed as a scam. People were
Yeah,
still
see,
on Hit BTC buying it and selling it, and even though they knew it was a scam, like it was the craziest thing.
Well, and that's the thing, though. You take a pyramid scheme. Some people, they know it's a pyramid scheme, but they're like, well, am I getting it early enough that I can be one of the people who profit on this pyramid scheme? You know, it's and nowadays it's multi-level marketing. The only difference between multi-level marketing and a pyramid scheme is that they have a little loophole. As long as you're selling a product, then it's not technically a pyramid scheme, and they can sort of skirt the law that way because people still have to do some work. That's how places like, like Amway and things like that. Oh, let's see. I remember BitConnect scam. One big crash, half of these projects with zero liquidity because your farming will tank and you're done. And that's absolutely true. And that's kind of where my caution level, I think when it comes to the caution level, I think me and Rye have the same handbook.
Yeah, I'm up there too. I'm a little more cautious.
Liquidity. Yeah, but farming is to add liquidity for an exchange. In exchange for your own access to liquidity, you're forced to take all the risk. The yields match the risk level. And that's, I would agree with that. Absolutely. I would definitely agree with that. So next week, we're going to have another show. I'm not sure what the topic is yet. I had a topic together and I had a potential guest, but it sort of fell through. So I'm going to find somebody else with a different topic. I try to pretty much marry the topic to the guest. So in this case, I watched Nate over on his channel do a scam video, and I was like, you know what, Nate's pretty good on that. So, and Nate's somebody I wanted on the show right away from day one. All right, got one last question here. So, okay, I'm still trying to learn, but I know I don't want to go for 12,000 API. Okay, yeah, absolutely. Try the 500% API then.
That's amazing, Dave.
Keep in mind, I mean, a lot of these coins, if you're staking, you're still getting some really good. Like with Polkadot, I'm getting 12%, and that's great. I know you can get a little bit more on Binance, but I am in Ontario, so Binance is not really an option for me. But anyway, back to Nate. We do have the link for his channel down below. Everybody, just jump over there, throw him a follow. Watch some of his videos. He's got some shorts too that are pretty cool as well, as in short videos. I mean, he may have some cool shorts in addition, but I don't know about that. Okay, those are not very short. And that is why FWT will change the industry. No risk. Awesome. All right. Next week, I've got 2 videos coming out. We also have Crypto Night in Canada. And hopefully Friday night, we will have the friggin' Oracle stream. So everybody wants to make sure that they check that out and throw a little support Ken's way. Rye said, Google the 4% rule, then look at this farming thing again. Oh, then look at this farming thing again. LLL, there's a bit of a gap in strategy. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, everybody. So we got a lot of stuff coming up. I want to just, before we run out of here, want to also make sure that you guys are aware I'm doing a Christmas live stream. So one of the things I'm going to start asking people is a little video happy holidays from people, because I don't think there's going to be a lot of people here on the Christmas live stream. It'll be me, and I'll be playing some of these montages, but then the stream will be available for you to watch the next day, and maybe actually get to see a few of the people in the community. I think it'll actually be really kind of cool. So that's one of the things that I'm going to do I'll do it over on the Facebook page, but if you don't have access to Facebook, just reach out to me either in a comment or something, and we can arrange something, because I think that would be very, very, very cool. What else is going on? The Frankie interview, it is done. I just need some more footage from one of his handlers. So that's probably going to come out in December. I did on the Facebook page throw a tiny little preview up, but so that'll be cool. And I got another interview coming out with a Twitch streamer who makes his living playing games on Twitch, which I think is going to be really, really cool. Okay, so I think that's about it. And this is a perfect one to end it on. Great show from Dave D. Oh, fine. We'll end it on this one here. Thanks, Nate and Candace. So thank you for coming, Caesar. Thank all of you for being here. Fantastic show. As I said earlier, this show would absolutely suck if it was just me here by myself. So, and a big thanks once again to Nate for showing up. Anyway,
Absolutely.
we will see you guys next time. Thanks for jumping into the live version of the Financial Verse. Take care, everybody.
See you guys.